on diabetes. We got to do some updates there, and on sick day medications. I got some ideas there, and moving forwards, and we saw the one on heart failure. I really love that one there. And now there's Barbara joining us there, and people are just coming on. Good to see everybody. And tonight is actually, did you know that Edmonton, the Force soccer team, the game's on at 9 o'clock at Clark Stadium? That was the schedule, but I guess that's off. And I'm not sure if anybody watched the NFL draft yesterday. I watched a little bit what my son here actually predicted pretty well the sequence of events, and maybe he should be a general manager. And let's we're getting how many people we have so far? We got 11 people so far. Oh, there is our chef, Chad. Yeah.
Hi,
There he is, Chad.
Good to see you, and I'm really excited about this guy. Can cook anything really well and makes everything good. And let's see.
I try my best.
Oh,
Hello?
any more? Hey,
Nothing.
You know what I'm figuring out? There's a couple people, Paul, that are having some trouble, but we're getting there. And,
yeah, we're getting there.
And one of the fellows that was on last time and said he didn't realize him and his wife were talking. He couldn't hear us, but we heard him.
Yeah, so I guess one thing is we are going to ask that everyone
I don't
does
understand
just
why the sound is not on now.
mute their
I
mics.
don't. Yeah.
You can keep your things. Once the talk gets started, we'll get everybody.
Call has been unmuted, so why am I not? Why is it not
There you
working?
go. Yeah, so can you hear us there?
So we might have to meet some of you people. We won't meet you just yet. We'll chat a little bit, and maybe we'll wait another few minutes or so. And yeah, I'm curious to see that. Is anybody taking a look at any of the previous webinars or some of the workshops? And does anybody have any comments?
I haven't looked yet.
Okay. There's much coming, and I'm truly amazed how good they are. And there's a lot of information. They're a little bit long, but that's okay. You know, getting healthcare information takes a little bit of time.
Yep.
And I think you'll enjoy them. And I love this. I really look forward to Friday nights. We just had the exercise one, and glad that when one of the videos I sent of her, I had discharge coming out of my nose when I run. I get some. Not sure what the technical word is, but the non-technical word is just cold-induced thing coming out.
Internet for audio. Our internet isn't so good right here. No, it has nothing to do with the way you. There we go.
Trouble with your audio there.
Okay. Oops.
How you doing? And Chad,
Can you hear me, Greg?
I can hear you.
It's
Yeah.
Barb Warnicking.
Yeah. Hi, Barb.
Oh, you can hear me. Okay. Hi. I wasn't sure. This is my first time doing this.
Wonderful. I'm glad you're out here.
Yeah.
What's it mean by low network quality?
We're keeping well and doing all the things I guess we're supposed
That's what
to do.
it said.
Nice.
I can see him. I can see everybody, but I can't hear what they're saying now.
I'm sorry, love. They ask me these things when I'm doing absolutely nothing.
Oh yeah, that's more important. Playing a game, that's more important. Yeah, that's more
different things. Eventually, we'll see. One thing is that Paul has all power to do anybody he wants.
Go turn on switch 3.
Yeah, and
right.
Barbara, thank you for coming out. And I want everybody to enjoy themselves. I learned a lot. I don't know, John, did you actually send me a video about how to look better on these webinars? Or was it somebody else that sent it to me? Because one of the things I'm not sure of is just John kept sending all sorts of things. And there was one that he got me to do where even talked about makeup. Oh, thank you. That's wonderful. I didn't do the makeup part, though. Your light is bare, so do I have to change my light a little bit? Should I change things around a little bit? John?
I think it looks good, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Gotta look at.
Okay.
One thing I miss is not having a haircut. I need a haircut, but you can't get one.
Yeah. My brother and I tried cutting each other's hair, but we're a little bit worried that it might not go as we planned.
But and usually I shave every Monday because that's the day I go in the hospital. So I had the growths over here. So does anybody know why I shave myself for Mondays?
So you don't have to shave until next Monday?
Well, that's not a bad idea. The reason I grow a beard because I'm just too lazy to shave. But the real reason I actually shave on Monday, I'm in the hospital and if I have to wear those N95
Oh,
masks,
yeah.
and you can't have any hair, so I have to shave on Mondays. And then if I'm not going to,
Right.
I don't have to shave again. I should shave more often. I'm just plain lazy.
That's okay. You're forgiven.
You know what's funny too is I've been looking at my sleep this week. I've been averaging I think 4.12 hours per night this week. So I'm working
Wow.
on a gel. Okay, and been working hard in the office, and I'm pleased with the way things are going there. We're getting some plexiglass installed different places,
Oh.
and
Are you actually in the office a lot, Greg?
yeah. So first of all, is that I go to the office most days. I'm there most of my like
Okay.
today I'm just there myself, and Judy, one of our staff, came in at 6 this morning to clean up the things. But we're starting to bring in doing testing now twice a week, and we bring in people one person at a time. I'm used to seeing a very busy waiting room. Now there's only maybe one person in the waiting room, and so you're screened at the door. You get your temperature taken.
That's
Everybody
good.
wearing their gears, and it's a whole new way of looking at the world these days. And one of the things I want to do is I try to keep my hands out of my face, and I find those masks. So I think one of the things is who should wear masks and things of that nature. Um, right now, I'm recommending, and it's going to change. When we first started a couple of weeks ago, Paul said all the masks should be in the hospital.
Right.
Now it looks like everybody should have their own mask. Two reasons: the regular surgical mask, or the mask that you make prevent you from spreading virus to other people when you breathe or when you cough or whatever. You bring out secretions, and so you have less chance of spreading. The N95 mask, okay, the mask, they're hard to get.
It took a month for them to come in.
Good for you. Good for you. I'm trying to order 10,000 masks from China. I don't know if I'm going to get them or not, but we'll see what happens.
I think they're holding a lottery.
Well,
I
what's
heard.
interesting is that um, we'll see what happens. We're in the process of trying to get masks for as many people as we possibly can, and we'll be successful or not. I don't know. One thing I really like with our Prime Minister or our head here, Ford, says that we need to make masks in Ontario, and I think it's a wonderful idea. So I really think the Ontario government's really stepped up quite nicely to do some things. We have a lot of work ahead of us in so many areas. Do you think, Paul, we should get started?
Yeah, sounds good with me. I'm good to get started. The YouTube seems to be working as well, so seems good. Ready to go. I am just going to ask once more, everyone just keep mics muted. We are going to open up the floor for discussion at regular intervals. But just so we don't really interrupt each other when we're presenting, to have the microphones muted. But so we can get started here.
So Paul he's really brought this technology up to many levels. I think we're getting a little better each time. I look at some of the previous recordings. I've learned to laugh at myself more and more. Enjoy these communities, and they're wonderful events. And I thank you all for attending. And please share them with as many people possible. The more, the merrier. And we noticed that a lot of people go on afterwards, and that's wonderful. And so,
Right.
take it away, Paul.
Okay, sounds good. So thank you all for joining us today. Today we're going to be discussing eating healthy at home. So, we know we're all stuck inside, and, especially when we're at home and we're around a lot of food all the time. At least I myself personally, I have the tendency to snack regularly throughout the day. And, typically in a busy normal day, I have a very routine type of day, especially when I go to school because I'm still a student. I have my times when I have my meals normally, but I've been finding that it's really easy to start eating a lot more unhealthy foods when we're stuck at home, as well as fall out of that routine of healthy eating. Um, so that being said, we are going to talk about ways that we can eat healthy at home. We are also joined by one of our friends today, Chad, who is going to take the floor for a little bit. We'll give in. Yeah. So he's there. He's there. You can see him waving.
Chad, 2 thumbs up, everybody. I love that guy.
Amazing fellow. He's gonna take the floor for a little bit. He prepared a short little video on how we can prepare some oat milk, and he is ready to prepare a lot more videos in the future as well for us to have healthy recipes at home. So that being said, like I mentioned, eating healthy can be hard, especially when we're stuck at home. Uh, when we have all this food around us, it's a lot more likely that we might end up binge eating or, fall into a habit of bad eating, run out of ideas to have, or run out of ideas of things to cook and end up cooking things that we're familiar with that might not be the most healthy. And so, even though it's very, very difficult, it always reminds me of this one quote by Robert Kennedy. Only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly. And, with that being said, it's only those who are willing to challenge the difficulty of eating healthy that can overcome that and develop these healthier habits and healthier routines that they can maintain for the rest of their life. And this is a quote that honestly sticks with me for quite a lot of scenarios in my life. And I want to open the floor today by asking, and we can have some input from others. If anyone thinks that there is this one best diet, and with that being said, we hear a lot about diets. We hear a lot about the keto diet, the DASH diet, Mediterranean. The list goes on and on and on and on. And a question that I get all the time in the clinic is whether there is one best diet. And all of these diets have their pros and cons to them. Some are effective in perhaps lowering blood pressure, like the DASH diet. Some might be nice and more so a weight aspect, even if it's temporarily, like the keto diet. But I always like to answer saying that there is no one single best diet because it's highly personalized. A diet that works for me might not work for my neighbor, might not work for you, might not work for Dr. Kearney or Erica. But what's more important is that we're able to make meaningful lifestyle changes that we can maintain long term. And by that, I mean, we don't want to teach you a diet. We want to teach you how to make healthy choices that you can make for yourself. And, this includes choosing healthier foods, eating less, exercising more, and realizing that moderation is very, very important. Everything in moderation. Too much of anything is usually on the worst side of things. And I think there's no better place to start discussing, how to make healthy lifestyle or healthy diet choices without knowing what our plate should look like as well. And by that, I'm referring to the Canada Food Guide. So on the left here, we have this Canada Food Guide from way back. This was a food guide that I myself was taught when I was in elementary school. And this is what the food guide looks like today to the right here. You can see it looks drastically different than from back in the day. And the reason for that is because research in diet is something that is very difficult. It's regularly changing all the time, and it's very difficult to study because it's particularly hard to focus on just what people are eating because there's so many more things that go into researching, weight loss and researching effects of diets. So that being said, way back in the day, they used to tell us to have a certain amount of grains, to have some vegetables and cheese. You can see a lot of that cheese there and meat and alternatives and all that fun stuff. And you can almost disregard this at this point. And now the Canada Food Guide is telling us to focus on the image on the right there. Now, it looks a lot more colorful, I have to say, and it does look a lot more appetizing to me. But I know a lot of people who perhaps aren't as pleased at the fact that vegetables take up half the plate there. And we're gonna get a little bit more into that, especially in with plant-based eating when we talk about it with Chad. But vegetables are very, very important. There's a lot of benefits to eating a lot of vegetables, and Canada Food Guide does recommend that half your plate does make up vegetables. A quarter of your plate should be the whole grains, so we're gonna avoid a lot of the white foods, and the other quarter of the plate should be proteins. I like to complement this with what I call the no white diet. And what that means is you're going to avoid most of your white foods besides cauliflower and potentially a little bit of potatoes here and there. So that means you're going to cut out your white pasta, your white grains, your white bread, and replace it with a lot of the whole grains. And that includes the white sugar as well. Um, so a lot of patients, try and find some loopholes, and they ask me about brown sugar. Unfortunately, brown sugar and white sugar, same thing. That one we're going to try and avoid. So I feel like a lot of individuals after seeing this might try and crack a joke, and they ask about the size of the plate. It's okay if I only have a quarter of my plate of proteins if I just buy a really, really big plate. Right? So that being said, I've started to mention the size of the plate as an importance. Oops, sorry, I'm just gonna. Can you just make sure the mics are muted?
Oh, you have more people joining and playing with technology. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
that's all right.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Means
Okay.
means you're out there. I remember that Kennedy quote: "Don't be afraid to
Yeah.
big." What was that? What's the actual quote again? Don't be afraid.
Here we go. Only those who fail greatly can ever achieve greatly.
What a great man.
Yeah, what a great man. And so I'm very excited to see that a lot of new people are testing out this technology and joining us with the webinars. For those of you who are watching YouTube right now as well, if you look at the bottom of the email that we send, we've included a guide on how to join through the WebEx session as well. So maybe you could give that a try next time too. And it's okay if it takes a little bit of trying, but it's trying in the first place that's the important part.
You can join if you want to call in different ways, and I'm just truly amazed that I understand that there's different platforms, and it's just totally amazing. And one day we might be talking this way. I might be in front of Barb one day, and she'll be in her living room, and I'll be looking at her straight in the eye.
It'll be virtual holograms at that point too.
Maybe it'll be Star Wars where I'll just beam you aboard, or I'll beam you to Enterprise, and I'll go to my place, and I'll check out your fridge and empty it for you.
Don't eat it all though, that's fair new.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, so this is what we say a plate should look like now. I've been mentioning portions, and portions are very, very important as well. Sure, you can have a plate, but that doesn't mean you want to eat 3 plates over of food. We're going to get a little bit into talk about calories and how we can watch those at home as well. So I've showed some patients this plate before, and some of them, out of wit, they said it looks boring. It's definitely not your New York cheesecake, or it's not your deep dish pizza, but there are some ways that you could make it a little bit more interesting for yourself. You can try a lot new recipes, and I'm going to show some areas where you can find some recipes, and Chad has a lot of information on finding recipes as well. You can still season your food as you like to taste. You can try new methods of cooking it. You could have roasted vegetables, baked vegetables, and supplement it with a whole bunch of variety of proteins. So it's a lot of mixing and matching, even though it looks like a very perhaps more boring than a New York style cheesecake or a deep dish pizza. There's still a lot that you can get out of that. And moderation is still important. That's not to say that means that you can never ever in your life eat another pizza. That's not very realistic of us to ask of you, but it's moderation that's the important aspect. And one thing that if you actually do start tracking what you're eating, one thing that you'll find is a lot of people will say, it's okay, I only have pizza once a month, but then I also have burgers once a month, and I also have hot dogs once a month, and I also have fries once a month. And then, when you add all of these once a month things together, it makes up pretty much every day of the month. So sure, you might be only eating this unhealthy food once a month, but if all the other days you are eating an unhealthy food as well, it does add up. So moderation is very, very important for that as well. There are some healthier alternatives or alterations that you can make to the Canada Food Guide. And these are for you super keeners who are really on the go.
I can't hear you.
Anyone else? Can you hear me?
I can hear you,
I
Paul.
hear
Can
you now.
Can you hear
Okay.
you?
All right.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank
Perfect.
you. Okay.
Yeah, Jenny.
And if anyone has any questions, don't hesitate any time to ask. Yeah, so this is for perhaps the more keen individuals. The other day, I was on the phone with a patient, and he actually told me that a workshop very similar to this. We call it the 30 Days to the Healthier You workshop, and it's based around Dr. Kearney's book, 30 Days to a Healthier You. A patient actually told us he lost 30 pounds in 6 months, and he's still going. So it's all about the effort that you do put in as well, and not being afraid to fail. And we'll get into a lot of that as well. But like that Robert F. Kennedy quote said, it's only those whoever come across a failure are those that are going to achieve. So here, very briefly, we have some good foods that we can try and implement into our diets. So vegetables and fruits are very, very important. Try and have all your servings of fruits and vegetables, 5 to 10 servings a day. You can't go wrong with eating a lot of vegetables. And I'm going to show, I have this little demonstration on just how much food you can eat if you do adapt a lot of vegetables into your diet. And plant-based proteins are a great source of proteins. There's a lot of plant-based proteins that you can choose from. You can choose some of your beans, your lentils, your legumes, and these can replace perhaps your red meats and your beef and chicken on occasion as well. Whole grains are very important, and you want to avoid the low fats, bad foods. So avoid the saturated and trans fat. I get questions all the time asking about the margarines, because the basil was supposed to be heart healthy. Turns out, way into the future, it's actually just as bad for you. So you want to avoid the butters, the oils, the margarines. If you are going to have any type of oil, the only oil you should probably opt for is the cold pressed extra virgin olive oil. Even that in moderation, because 1 tablespoon of olive oil, so that's about this much, makes up about 100 calories. So we're going to talk about how many calories you do need to start losing, or do need to cut down to start losing some weight. But just this much olive oil basically makes up perhaps 1/15 of the food or calories that you should be eating in a day. So it's not really worth it. And when you consider, a lot of individuals will make salad dressing, but maybe this much worth of it. Your salad dressing alone is maybe making up 1/5 or 1/4 of all the calories you should be eating in a day. So we have to be really careful when we are using a lot of oils. Salt is another food that we do want to avoid and stray away from, and that's because high amounts of salt can actually lead to high blood pressure. And one thing that you'll find salt is very high in canned food. So today I was looking for something to eat in my house, because we're all stuck inside, like I said. It's very easy to just wander around and look for things to eat. So I picked up a can of chicken noodle soup that I had in my house, and the can of soup itself had 1,700 milligrams of salt, which is more than you're supposed to be eating in one day. Right. So if you are stuck at home, I know a lot of us have supplies at home and food that we've had stored at home for a while. Just be a little cognizant of the amount of salt that might be in those foods as well, especially if you do have high blood pressure. If you want to get that blood pressure down, you can aim for lower amounts of salt. And we want to avoid the sugars and sugary beverages. And this one is very, very important. A can of Coke has about 54 grams of sugar, which is an insane amount. It has 300 calories. And it's these liquid calories that add up, because these liquid calories don't fill you up by any means. but it's the liquid calories. So it's it's a Coke, it's the juice, it's the sugary drinks that really come at your stomach and start sitting at your stomach as well, because they just add up to the calories over time. So the best beverage out there is water. That's my go-to. There's also some wonderful oat milk that Chad is going to show us how to make as well in not too long. So I have some guidelines to a successful diet here. So know your triggers and avoid them. And this is something that comes up quite often. A lot of people will come to me and they'll start telling me about what their difficulties are. For some people, it's alcohol that is a trigger, and they end up gaining a lot of weight because of alcohol. For other individuals, it's sweets like cake and it's sweets like cookies. So know what your triggers are and learn how to avoid them. I do have a question in just a little bit about that. We are going to talk about food labels. So remember how to read food labels. Try not to eat before bedtime. And I know this is Dr. Kearney's weakness. You'll notice Dr. Kearney started smiling immediately after I said try not to eat before bedtime. So funny story. I remember I think, if I was to average the amounts of toast that Dr. Kearney has before bed, it's probably maybe 6 a night. So that's one that we do want to avoid, eating before bedtime. Because it's just a way to add to the amount of time that you'll be fasting at night and kill off some of those calories too. If you do want a snack, go for a healthy snack. I am going to show you some very quick snacks that you can keep in your fridge ready for you to go. And drinking some water before every meal is a good way to cut down on the amount that you are going to be drinking too, which is nice. Last thing here, and I have it in red because it is particularly important, is try not to be hard on yourself as long as you are actively trying. And I'm saying that because I guarantee when we are making changes to our diet, 99% of us will fail at some point. And that's guaranteed, and that's okay. Failure is a normal part of making changes and long-term meaningful changes. And failure is just perhaps the most human element we have. So it's okay if you fail, as long as you remember to pick back up and try again. Just having one failure isn't the end of the world. So we have to be willing to try and try and try until we are able to make these changes perhaps more long term. So we're going to talk a little bit about plant-based eating. I have this picture from this movie Home Alone here. Some of you might be familiar. It's that famous Christmas movie. Now, the reason why I have this picture here is because the amount of times, and I'm sure Chad can talk about this too, the amount of times when someone hears the word vegan or the word it's plant-based, they give the space, they get scared a little bit. And it's not all that bad. Plant-based eating is actually phenomenal, and I'll tell you exactly why. Plant-based eating is actually eating less meat, more vegetables, and plant-based options of protein. So it's not so scary. It doesn't even have to be black and white or binary. You could be shifting towards just reducing your meat intake and increasing your vegetable and plant-based protein intake. So it doesn't necessarily need to be 100% vegan. You can find something that works for you as long as you are making some sort of changes towards there. So a lot of you might be wondering, why should we consider plant-based eating? It's healthier, so it's better for your heart and for your body. It's better for the environment. It's better for animals, and you can eat more. So there's a lot of options. You can pick which of these options is more important for you. I'm going to take the last one as an example here. You can eat more because we're all stuck at home, we're all bored, and we all want to eat a lot right now. So here I have a picture of what 500 calories might look like. You can see oil. Like I mentioned, it's very calorie dense. Cheese is also very calorie dense. And if we just skip to the last one here, fruits and vegetables, the stomach is quite full. And here's 200 calories. So this is 200 calories of Doritos chips compared to 200 calories of honeydew melons. It's, almost 4 or 5 times the amount there. 200 calories of fries versus 200 calories of broccoli. And a lot of people always tell us, You know, the vegetables just don't fill me up as much, but you can eat perhaps 4 times as much to really get full with the same amount of calories. 200 calories of pasta versus 200 calories of carrots, and this is 200 calories of hot dogs. That's quite pathetic if you ask me. That's not going to fill anyone up. But compare that to 200 calories of celery. It's much more, and you're definitely getting a lot more full off the celeries versus off the hot dog.
I think good celery is good for. Hey, Paul, for a second, Chad too as well. Is that Chad and I are working on forks over knives, and I've cut so much celery, learning how to chop using that rolling cut that we'll show you at some point in time. So
Yeah.
become a good fan of celery. I think probably get stuck in my teeth after I eat it, but.
Yeah, so for context, there's this plant-based eating course that Dr. Cody and Chad have been taking part of, and they're teaching us how to actually cut. So there's a lot of technique that goes into cutting efficiently.
Oh, it's a good cutter.
Yeah, so I guess I had a little bit of practice with a chef's knife. So here I'm gonna let Chad introduce himself. He prepared this video for us too. So Chad, if you just unmute yourself and take it away.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I've been working with Dr. Canoe with this particular course, Forks Over Knives, and it's very interesting, and it teaches you a lot of amazing techniques. I didn't know how to properly, professionally cut in the kitchen, and now I can. So it's a very good course. But yes, myself, I've had a couple of heart attacks. I have 4 stents, and I've got other health issues. So what I decided to do a few years back was, well, about 5 years ago now, I had a vegan friend, and she was really promoting for the vegan diet. And as soon as I heard vegan, it's like, oh, like, it's sort of, it has a stigmatization about it. So, but I started to try things slowly, and to the point then I actually became essentially a vegan. I don't like calling it that way because I prefer the whole food plant-based dieting. So Dr. Canoe had suggested that maybe because I know a lot of things in the kitchen and how to prepare whole food plant-based recipes that are very nutritious. And so what we've decided to do is to show some of these recipes. And this particular first one that I've created is doing the oat milk. So if you might have seen it in the past when I had visited the clinic, but if you weren't at one of those things, I've done the oat milk. And it's so simple, it takes like a matter of 3 minutes to do. So the first part of the series that I'm going to be working on are very simple recipes and how to do things quickly. And then just those small things that you're going to eliminate from your diet to help out your cholesterol and possibly other health issues that you may be having, you'll notice a difference. And it's just about making those small changes at first. And excellent PowerPoint that you've shared already, Paul. And there was a few things that I really picked up on, and it's about our food guide. So we always look to our government for guidance, and for so many years we were taught to eat eggs and lots of meat protein and dairy and putting children soon after being breastfed right onto whole milk, cow milk. And those kinds of things. And we, over time and over generations now, they've come to realize there's a great increase in cardiovascular disease and cancers of different sorts and that. So if you can go more into whole food plant-based. I'm sorry, am I just rambling?
Oh no, this is great. It's great, Dad. Keep it up.
Okay. So anyways, so that's really changed, and that's telling you right there. There's enough things that are coming out that I think we all know deep down inside that the way we were eating before just isn't good. And if we can make those changes, believe it or not, you feel so much healthier. I feel great. At one point, I reduced. I had watched Forks Over Knives, the video, and I actually removed even oils from my diet, and
Huh?
I reduced my cholesterol level.
Webinar. Talking about eating healthy right now. Yeah, I'm not
Hi
going to
there.
show my friends
Join
right
us.
now.
So we'll just ask everybody to, if they can mute themselves except for Chad there. Is that okay? And we'll have lots of time for discussions. And we're all going to play around with this technology. And we're all going to have some fun with it. So welcome everybody again.
Yeah, so I did the challenge, a personal challenge of reducing even oils out of my diet. So no fats whatsoever in 30 days, and I've got the blood work that I'll actually show in one of my following videos that I reduced my cholesterol level and LDL that down by 50%. It was pretty much 50%. So it really speaks for itself if you can go on a whole food plant-based diet. And it's my biggest problem when I first started was knowing what to make and just eating salads all the time, and that's really boring. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be presenting very short, quick recipes in the beginning, and then we'll grow into a little bit more recipes that call for more ingredients. But and I'd also wanted to make note, Paul, with regards to the pizza thing. I'm actually having pizza tonight, and I have pizza once a week. But my pizza doesn't have actually any olive oil in it. It's whole wheat, which is your whole grain, and I use all the different bell peppers, the different colors, because all my dishes. It's really important to make your dishes as bright and colorful and that because it makes it more enticing to eat. And actually, the way I make a pizza, and I'm going to do a video on it, um, it's really actually nutritious, but it is all in the way no cheese. You can't be putting those things on or pepperoni. I will cheat with it's a vegan pepperoni, but once again, it's something that's been processed, and that's one of the other things we want to stay away from is processed foods. There is something bad I've been doing in cheating, being stuck in the house more as I go in just short binges of potato chips. But see, I don't go out and buy my potato chips though. I make my own. So I slice up the potato and then I don't use much, but I use an olive oil, not extra virgin because it has to go in high temperature in the oven, and shake it up in the bag. And these are the things. If you want to cheat, there's ways that you can cheat on this diet and still sort of enjoy the same. So, and then you shake it up, add some salt, throw it in the oven, 325 for about 15 minutes on convection. And I'm telling you, those potato chips are really good. So, and much better than the baked potato chips in the store that's got extra additives and preservatives, which are chemicals that you're going to end up ingesting. So yes, this video the first video, I thought I'm going to make it simple, and that's removing some dairy out of your diet, and it's nice and creamy, and it goes good with which I'll be doing on the next episode is actually how important breakfast is, and we're preparing oatmeal. So the oat milk works great with your oatmeal in your coffee. If you like milk in your tea, then you can add non-dairy oat milk, and actually in a lot of different recipes that I'll be showing in the future, and it will have oat milk in it. So
I'm
Right,
excited.
I'll play the video here.
He's a good cook.
Yeah. Okay. Can you hear that?
No.
No? Okay. Oh, sorry, it's muted here.
to heal your
Hey, nice production, nice light.
channel, Cooking with Chad. Chad's health channel for preparing and eating whole food, plant-based meals to heal your body, mind, and spirit. I have been
Is that
asked to
quiet
do this
or?
for my
Make it
cardiologist,
make it
Dr.
loud as you
Gregory
can.
Cornu.
Okay.
He's located in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.
There you go. Oh,
Remember, celery is good. hot dogs.
Yeah, very sorry.
That's okay.
I mean,
It's good to review things.
okay.
I
Here,
remember playing
let me go
myself
this way.
using that knives there. And Google can be your friend sometimes, and sometimes it can be your enemy. So you got to be careful what you find on Google, how to use that well. We're going to show you how to get information on Google. And here's some good information right now. By the way, what's the difference between Google and the Google?
Welcome everyone to my channel.
The
Cooking
Google
with
is
Chad.
Google for old people.
Chad
Take it away, Chad.
Channel
Go
Okay.
ahead.
for preparing and eating whole food, plant-based meals to heal your body, mind, and spirit. I have been asked to do this for my cardiologist, Dr. Gregory Curnew. He's located in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you want more information about me and why I believe that eating healthy, whole plant-based meals are beneficial to your health and well-being, then please visit the bio section of this channel and you'll learn a little bit about who and what I'm about, including suffering cardiovascular disease. In this episode 1, we'll be preparing oat milk, a replacement for animal milk. Why? Well, if you're struggling with high cholesterol, animal milk contains cholesterol, oat milk does not. Did you know that cardiovascular diseases make up the single greatest cause of death on this planet? Between ischemic heart disease, strokes, and hypertension, related deaths, more than 17 million people die each year due to cardiovascular issues. For that reason, protecting your heart is one of the most important and imperative things that everyone needs to do, even at a young age. Preventing situations like unbalanced cholesterol levels, high blood pressure, plaque buildup in your arteries, and unnecessary strain on your cardiovascular system is of the utmost importance. Unfortunately, modern society also has a fascination with foods that are notoriously bad for the body. Most heart diseases are as a result of lifestyle, not genetic predisposition. In other words, we bring these problems on ourselves. High fat, high sodium, and high carb diets are all responsible for heart disease in the world. Did you know oat milk contains fiber, calcium, vitamin A, and iron? In fact, oat milk possesses twice as much vitamin A than cow's milk. Oat milk has absolutely no cholesterol or saturated fats. If you have cardiovascular disease, diabetes, hypertension, any chronic health condition, by changing what you consume at whatever pace you'd like, you can make results. So here's a small step to a healthier change. Now let's make some oat milk. What I like so much about this recipe and for episode number 1, because it's all about making just small changes in your way of eating and that, and what you're going to consume. So the oat milk is very simple. We're talking about 5 different ingredients. So I'm using a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and we've got a 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. I use the pure stuff. Then I put in 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. Now we're using a maple syrup because it adds just a little bit of that sweetness to it, which is great when you're going to make oatmeal in the morning time to add that to your coffee, etc. But another sweetener you can use are actual dates. I use dates as well. We need our 4 cups of water, 1 cup of oats, and we put it in a blender, high speed for 1 minute. It's as simple as that. And let's put it all together. Here we go. We got 4 cups of water. We're going to add in our 1 cup of rolled oats. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but I use rolled oats. The larger the grain, the more whole grain is very important for your diet. So we're adding in 1 cup of oats. We've got our 1 tablespoon of maple syrup that I'm going to pour in. Now, there are some recipes that I'm going to end up sharing with you in the future that's using some baking, and you want an unsweetened oat milk. So you're not always like I said, in this particular recipe that we're working on right now, I'm using the maple syrup, but you can replace maple syrup with the dates. And then we've got in our vanilla, and then a quarter teaspoon of salt. And if you are having issues with regards to high sodium in your diet, you can skip the salt. I have issues of low sodium, so I add just that quarter teaspoon. You can even use like an eighth of a teaspoon, just adds a little bit of flavor. So now that we've got all our ingredients in, I'm going to put in the blender, and I'm going to set my watch so that I know when 1 minute is up. Turn it on. I use a high speed. On my level, I use a Ninja. I put it on number 3. That's 1 minute. Voila. You almost
That's
have
work time.
an almost drink. But the next step to all this is we're going to strain it because you want all those chunks out. You're just wanting the milk. So then I put it through the strainer into a big, large measuring cup. Put that to the side. As you can see, it's straining. And also, I'm just going to give it a
Nice kitchen. It's also very clean. It's not like my kitchen.
stir. I'm just going to press out a little bit of the potential milk within this jar. Put this off to the side. I'm going to just stir what's left over. And then I'm going to place it in. I recycle, and these are old jars that had, I believe, like a spaghetti, not spaghetti, a tomato juice that I use for my spaghetti. So you got 4 liters.
Chad, I got my bottle.
If you were to purchase this in the store, you're looking at anywhere between $2.50 to $3.50 per liter. Here we've got 4 liters, which is costing you maybe about 25 cents per liter. And that's that. We just made oat milk together. And you're going to live healthier by making small choices like this.
Well done. So Chad, I got the bottle. Can you fill it up next time I see you?
Feel free to email us.
Now, also that on my end, it was really hard to hear. Just let you know, Paul.
Right.
Now, with regards to that as well, everybody, with regards to that oatmeal, now that'll stay in the refrigerator for about 4 days because remember, again, it doesn't have any preservatives or anything else like that, and it's only costing you 25 cents for that 4 cups. Did I say 4 liters or 4 cups?
4 liters.
Cups.
But
Oh,
4 cups.
no, it's 1. Yeah, it's 4
One.
cups, which is 1 liter. Okay, just for clarification on that. And when it is in the refrigerator, it will separate a bit. So just give it a quick shake. If you see that separation, that's all it is. So it's nothing to be concerned with. But it'll last a good 4 days.
What do you do with the leftover oats there and stuff?
Actually, my dog will get it, and/or I'll add it into different other dishes. So
Like what?
my dog, she eats a lot of. She does get meat protein, but she gets about 40%, or sometimes 30% meat protein, and the rest is all kinds of different other vegetable proteins and stuff like that. So she doesn't eat commercial food. I've been cooking for her since she's been a baby, and when I used to take her out to go pee and that when she was a little puppy to train her, she was given like carrot sticks when she came in, or pieces of asparagus or things like that, right? So she likes lots of vegetables.
So your dog eats better than the average North American.
Yes.
What?
That your dog eats healthier than the average North American.
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately for the
Can
America,
you
yes,
can
she
you
eats really, really well. She does.
can you put that into different recipes for human consumption?
What?
Well, it's actually it would be human consumption. What how I prepare it, but like I also like she gets she'll
No,
get like
I guess I'm saying is that for those who don't have a dog, can you use it for other recipes for us humans to eat?
I'm still not catching everything you're saying. You
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
we'll talk about that later. That's great. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much. That's wonderful.
Chad,
There's a
Yeah,
question. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
go ahead.
Chad, can I ask you a question? Can you use instant oatmeal or should it be the regular oatmeal?
No, regular oatmeal, not the instant.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
the instant's been processed, so you're losing. You're always focusing
right,
on whole grain, so it's better to.
right. Mm-hmm.
And Chad, there's a
Thank you.
question. There's a question from YouTube. Can the oat pulp be added to hot oats as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oat milk to hot milk. Yes, to your oats. And that's going to be the second episode that's going to be that I'm doing is the importance of breakfast. And again, what oatmeal, it's a very healthy choice. Oatmeal is good for helping to remove cholesterol from the body. Correct, Dr. Canoe?
Correct. So you
Okay.
can actually lower your cholesterol by about 2 to 5% with just having a few servings of oatmeal a day. We call it soluble fiber. It binds fiber. It binds cholesterol in the intestines. So it'll help lower your cholesterol a little bit.
Yeah, so I, for example, with myself, I eat oatmeal every morning, and then I'll either have a banana with it, like in chopped up inside, or I use different berries, like your blueberry, raspberry, blackberry, the berries nut. But oatmeal is a staple of my particular diet, and I have that every single morning. So
Nice.
that's going to be the next episode, and the importance of breakfasts.
Any
Thank
other
you so
questions?
much, Chad. Any other questions?
I think it's wonderful. You make it sound. Now, is your kitchen always that clean, or did you just clean it up for the for this video?
Oh,
Oh,
seriously.
we caught him red-handed.
A whole comment for a while. No comment.
That's all right. So we'll also put up Chad's email as well because he is open to answering questions and all of that too. And if Chad, I believe Chad is going to be uploading his videos online too, so we'll have those available for his future recipes as well.
So one of the
Okay,
things
Chad.
is that Chad has been kind enough to come to different events that we usually host in the clinic, and all our students want Chad to all the workshops because he just makes the food so much better. He's also willing to share his kindness and his knowledge with you too as well. So if you want to contact him, he doesn't mind. You can call him at 2 o'clock in the morning. No, just kidding. But he'll take your emails, and he's just a fantastic guy and a fantastic cook. And one of the statements I still remember this. He said this: "I don't want to just have salad. I want to make food taste good." And boy, when you make those pizzas and anything that you make, is that there's no leftovers.
And that's a regular theme. There's absolutely no leftovers at clinic. Well, it's a round of applause for Chad. Thank you so much, Chad. Okay. So we're going to get into some other ways that we can look into losing some weight as well and having a healthy diet, and one of which is calorie restriction and food logging. So a lot of us are here about calories, but for many of us, we have a little bit of trouble actually understanding why calorie restriction is important and what exactly it is. So the key to actually losing weight is all within a calorie deficit. So in particular, we have what's known as a basal metabolic rate, and this is the number of calories that are burned at rest. So for a typical senior, and assuming at a time like this, we're probably a lot less active than we normally are. our basal metabolic rate might only be about 1,200 calories. So it's not very much, which means that we actually don't have a lot of calories to work with. So eating food introduces calories into our body, and exercising burns off calories as well. So one way that I like to think of this is I like to use an analogy of money. It's almost like every day you're awarded a certain amount of dollars. So let's say we set a basal metabolic rate that we have to work with is around 1,200. So let's say you're given $1,200. In order to eat something, you got to give up some of that money, and exercising brings some more income in. And at the end of the day, you want to have a savings account. So you want some of those calories left over. And it's having those calories left over that is going to lead to weight loss. In particular, a deficit of 500 calories a day, so 3,500 per week, loses approximately 1 pound per week. So we can play this out in an example. Let's say we have a basal metabolic rate of 1,200 calories. So you wake up in the morning, you have $1,200 to spend for the day, right? And I go for a run in the morning, and that burns 200 calories. So let's say perhaps I have 1,400 calories for the day now, to simplify things a little bit. And now I eat a breakfast of 300 calories. I eat a lunch of 400 calories, and I eat a dinner of about, a very small dinner, maybe 200 calories. If my math is right, I hope it is. That should leave you with about 500 calories left per day, left in the day. And that, if I do that every single day, I will lose 1 pound a week. Um, there's a lot more things that go into it. Exercising burns calories, basically brings your heart rate up and it gets the body working. So the more you exercise, you can either have more food to eat or more weight to lose. I know Dr. Kearney himself, he exercises a lot so he can eat more. um, but yeah, so, restricting your calories are really important. And logging your food also really helps. Logging your calories, actually physically writing down in a paper or using an app like MyFitnessPal, which I'm going to show in a little bit. And really help keep track of the amount of calories you're using per day. So the goal at the end of the day is to have about 500 calories left over once more. If you're a senior and you're not very active, a good number to start off with for your basal metabolic rate is about 1,200 to 1,400. And so if you start with 1,200 to 1,400, you can use that as a relatively good guide that, maybe you only want to eat up to 1,200 calories per day. And so we can look at some food labels as well. And this is very important when you start considering calories. And it's really important to know how to read these food labels, because when we are in the grocery store, this is one of the first things that we do want to look at when we are buying some food. So at the top there, we have serving size. There are our calories, which is what we were just talking about. You want to limit the fat, limit the cholesterol, limit the sodium. And there's there's percentages to the right. And when you say limit, generally speaking, less than 5% is considered low, and greater than 15% is considered high in these. So less than 5% fat is towards the lower end, and that will help you in working towards limiting, the fat or limiting the sodium. And we're going to aim for high amounts of fiber, proteins, and vitamins. I do want to talk a little bit about two things in particular. One being the serving size. So I don't know how many of you have been looking at food labels in the grocery store, but sometimes I'll look at one pack of bread and I'll look at another pack of bread. So pack A says calories are 150. Pack B says calories are 100. And right off the bat, you're thinking, I'm going to go with pack B. It's lower calories to eat the pack B bread than pack A. But things get a little bit tricky, because little did we know pack A had a serving size of 2 slices of bread, whereas pack B only had 1 slice. So 150 calories for 2 slices of bread versus 100 for 1 slice. And you have to be really careful to make sure you are watching the serving size that we are eating as well. Because 9 crackers for 90 calories, sure, not so bad. If this said 2 cookies or 1 cookie for 90 calories, a lot of us, if we're having a coffee, we might be munching in 3, 4 cookies at a time. That's going to add up quite a lot, 270 calories just for 3 of those then. So you have to be really careful to look up for the serving size. This should be the first place your eyes go, and the calories should be the second place your eyes go. So when we are logging your food, you can write down how much you eat of something and how many calories you're accumulating throughout the day. I do want to talk about label language as well. I'm not going to cover all of these, but generally keep in mind that packages of foods are advertisements at the same time. When you're in the grocery store and you're walking around the grocery store, you are looking at aisles and aisles and aisles of advertisements. And by that I mean you're going to see this pack of chips that says low fat, or you're going to see a pack of anything else that says low sodium. And you're most of the time gonna perhaps grab the one that's low fat or low sodium, low cholesterol, whatever it is. And these are written in very large, big, bold letters on the front to grab your attention. But they can be quite deceptive as well. And that being said, they can be deceptive because low doesn't mean none. And light, for example, light fat still means that's half the fat of the regular version. If the regular version had 25 grams of fat, a light version of this still has 12.5 grams of fat as well, which is still very, very high. And again, all of this is per serving. So if you look here, if one serving is 9 crackers and it's considered low sodium, it means that it has 140 milligrams or less per serving. So if the serving was 3 crackers, 140 milligrams is for 3 crackers is still quite high. So you have to be really careful to not be deceived by all of these, advertisements that say low fat or low sodium. Actually, make sure that we pay more attention to the nutrition facts here. So I have a question for anyone willing to answer. What is the best place to combat unhealthy eating?
Any take it?
In my opinion, the best place. You're saying, Dr. Pinion?
I'm going to say it's my mouth.
Your mouth. That's a good answer too. Anyone else have an answer at all? Let's see
So
here.
to me,
Let's see the chat.
my weakness, my
The refrigerator.
eating is nighttime eating, and so we all have to know our strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
And I still haven't conquered that one successfully all the time. But some days I'm a little better than others. But I'm also, as you point out, the Kennedy quote is that it's okay to not be successful, but it's not okay not to try. So I've tried multiple strategies, from paying my son every time I eat too much, taking pictures of me, to trying to get bad food out of the house. I made some good progress. And right now is that I'm weighing myself on a regular basis every day. Today, or as last night, I weighed 172 pounds. My goal is still 165. A few days ago, I was 174. I was during this last couple of weeks, it's been low as around 168. Stark naked after a 50, 60 kilometer bike ride. So, but to me, for many of us is so for me, my unhealthy eating is nighttime eating. What's yours, Paul? You're saying it's a refrigerator, is that right?
Yeah. So for me, my weakness is probably when I'm bored. I'm just gonna walk downstairs to the kitchen and just eat anything. So for me, it's boredom. But we do have some answers here. Some of the best places, we have refrigerator. That's a very good place. Home, yeah, you definitely want to combat unhealthy eating at home. Snacking from YouTube, and Rachel actually got my answer. Rachel said my answer, which is in the grocery store. Good one, Rachel. Yeah. So
Anybody else have an answer? What do other people think? Chad, what's your? You mentioned what yours was, potato chips.
Yeah, but you can't see, even doing plant-based whole foods, you can, even cheating like that, it's a lot of extra calories. It's not something good, but it's better than the store. So, but you can get involved in eating wrong things or drinking wrong things because I started having a little bit of apple juice,
Okay.
and apple juice is packed with calories.
Apple juice has more sugar than Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Bad choice. Actually, I'm gonna ask John Deacon. What's the best place to combat unhealthy eating, John? What's yours? Do you have an answer?
He
Anybody?
messaged his answer was the refrigerator.
The
And
refrigerator.
eating out, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, one good thing, it's harder to eat out now, but it's kind of a little sad in one sense is that we have our comfort food, and unfortunately, many of us in this time, this comfort food is hurting us. So I'm encouraging you to find a different comfort food and a different way of reframing that. And so one of the things that I was doing is that Harvey's had two for $6. They had their veggie burgers on their multigrain buns. So up until a few days ago, I would go to Harvey's a couple times a week and get four of their veggie hamburgers with just all the vegetables they can stack on there, and they'll be my treats. And so, well, not perfect. It's better than having the French fries, and it's better having there's no mayonnaise, there's no extra um, sauces on there. So it was a good treat for me. And
You can get your burger on lettuce.
sure, yeah, good point. Great choice. Absolutely, I like that idea.
A&W will do it for you.
Yeah, perfect.
And it is, important that once in a while you do what you call maybe like a cheat, either be potato chips or going out to Harvey's and having that veggie burger. But always keeping in mind now, you're going back to what you want to try to avoid is processed foods. Anything that anybody else is making up for you that comes in packaging and that, because those burgers, as good as they are, and that's your cheat, that's something that you got to do once in a while, but it's packed with also high calorie fat that's
Yeah.
within that veggie burger, but you're not getting cholesterol because
Right.
you're trying to avoid always any cholesterol coming into your body if you're suffering from
Absolutely right. These plant-based burgers that you get, they have the same nutritional value as a regular hamburger. So it's just as unhealthy as a hamburger, but it is plant-based. Where if you take the veggie burgers at Harvey's, they're a little bit better. I'm not saying they're great, but it's what you put on it there too as well. And you point out too, Chad, that 60% of most of the calories that most of us eat come from processed food. Processed food is processed to taste better and to eat more of, and is really quite addictive. So that's why if you can change your way of life to more of these plant-based eating and having whole grains, and you mentioned, oatmeal, fantastic. And yeah, we're all going to fall off the wagon, and we're all going to help each other. But I love your pizza better than I wish Pizza would have your version of it. Maybe at your own pizza store, and I'll line up. I'll be your first customer.
Actually, I apologize, Paul. I stuck away there for about 30 seconds because I had to go pull it out of the oven.
Make sure you bring us a slice as well.
Show us, like, I got home tonight, and this is what Carrie has so far for my dinner. She has just vegetables that she sautéed, and I have some balsamic vinegar vinegar. I'm just going to add on a little bit later. But can you show us what your pizza looks like? Just I'd love to see what it looks like. Can you show it us?
It's a big platter. It's too hot to bring down right now. I literally pulled it up at the end here.
Yeah, no,
I'll give you a quick show.
Nice. And do you deliver?
That's the important question.
Can I get someone to pick it up?
I can just add one other thing is what's sort of good to have on hand, and it'll come in the following videos, is our different dips, and they're made very nutritiously, right? But there is some tofu and that in there, but they're nice creamy dips. And what I have off the side in the refrigerator at all times is hummus and a salsa. So
Nice.
when I got my taco chips, they're baked, so it's not done with oils. And that's something quick. You just open up that refrigerator, pull out some salsa or hummus, and just because we want to crunch too sometimes when we're just sitting there, maybe watching too much TV, as we all are probably these days. Um, and you just start munching on that. So it's having some things that's a go-to that's in the refrigerator that's going to be a healthier choice than something that's in a packaging.
Exactly,
So
and that's something that that Rachel was just saying right now as well. Something pre-cut, you know, if you have pre-cut apples, something you can just grab very quickly, so you don't have to think twice and search around for more unhealthy foods.
is that Rachel Lou that's telling you about
Yeah,
that?
yeah, she's
Rachel,
watching YouTube.
Rachel, thanks for helping out in the clinic in today. And we miss you in the clinic because, boy, the cooking has never been the same since you left. Chad's tried to do is tried to take over some degree, and boy, is that we've been blessed with really great food at times. Someone mentioned that the lettuce instead of the bread. That's a good idea. Any other ideas? I was talking to one patient today who says he loves rice, and so he gets brown rice. I mean, it's not rocket science, but it's a big change. And I think avoiding the liquid oils. Does anybody have any other suggestions at all? I know John Deacon has actually lost a lot of weight, and every time he tells me what he's eating, it's fantastic. Any other pearls there from anybody else or suggestions?
I have a question.
Sure.
What about sweet potatoes? I love them. I could just mash them up and just eat them. But they have lots of calories, do they not?
Chad, what do you think about sweet potatoes versus potatoes?
Sweet potatoes are very nutritious for you. And yes, if that's your little go-to, by mashing it up and sitting down and just having a bowl of sweet potatoes, then that's a good healthy choice. I say yeah.
Paul, what do you think about sweet potatoes?
Yeah, so I think sweet potatoes, in my opinion, I prefer them over the regular potatoes because they are more nutritious. But again, for me, it's in moderation because they are quite still a starchy food. So you can definitely have them here and there, but you don't want to, have two sweet potatoes a day every single day.
So,
Um,
so to me, it's like potatoes or sweet potatoes roughly have the same amount of calories. I make sure when I eat potatoes or sweet potatoes, I include the skin. And like you mentioned French fries is when my kids go to Harvey's, I get the veggie burger, but I don't get the French fries. I come home and I put in a couple baked potatoes in the microwave, and so um, I'm quite happy with that. So I think Sharon that talked about the sweet
Yes.
potato. Yeah, I find sweet potatoes more filling than regular potatoes. I don't know if that's true or not, but potatoes or sweet potatoes are quite filling, and you're not eating. What's a potato around 100 to 200 about 100 calories I think or so a potato.
As long as you don't put anything on it, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So there's no butter or cream cheese or any of that sort of those
No.
four-letter words. You mentioned that butter and margarine out there. I think margarine is a little bit better than butter, but margarine is not a health food. It's something. It's one of those processed foods. So I'm trying to stay away from all the added fats. I think if you got rid of all the fats, the added fats in your cooking, man oh man, you can eat a lot more and you'd be a lot healthier, and it makes it a little bit easier to lose weight. Paul said there's actually some data that if you have 2 glasses of water before you start every meal, that will translate for most of us to 5-pound weight reduction over time. And I have my favorite cup, which is all my kids, and there's water. And that's my number one beverage right now, water and coffee. My coffee is just a touch of either oatmeal, maybe skim milk, but I'm drinking a lot more water, and I'm really starting to develop a real like for it.
and a good tip for those who perhaps have a little bit trouble moving away from pop is you can try carbonated water as well. That's something that I've had a lot of people switch onto. Definitely a lot of people who had a lot of trouble moving away from Coke, not even just because of the flavor or the sweetness, but because of the fizziness. carbonated water really seemed to help them as well, and it's definitely a lot better than drinking a can of Coke a day as well.
So just looking around my house here, like my wife loves. This is one of my wife's Perrier water. The only part I don't like about it is the plastic bottle, and we're trying to figure ways to get rid of plastic out of our lives. And but lots of good ideas. Any other ideas for anything else? I like it. Great. Or questions?
A lot of comments from Dr. Deacon. Is saying too much of anything isn't the greatest, and also a large percentage of the meals before the virus pandemic were consumed outside of the house as well, and that's a lot of us really did rely on a lot of fast foods, which we know perhaps aren't the greatest for us. So this is a good opportunity to perhaps sharpen up our chef skills and learn to cut nicely, Dr. Kearney.
That's right.
Okay.
Chad, we'll have to do some more of those questions soon. Anything else do you want to point out there at all?
Hi, can I ask something?
Wonderful.
I am very confused about bread and whether we should eat it or not. And if we do like bread, what type of bread should we eat? You read that, yes, it's okay. And in other cases, absolutely not. We don't need bread. And I do not understand this. Does anybody have an answer?
Who wants to? You want to give an answer, Paul? Then
well,
Chad,
I would just.
Yeah, well, go ahead, Paul. What do you think?
Yeah, so we will rotate. I feel like we all have a little something to say. So I don't think it's bad to eat bread. Definitely, like bread it's all around us. It's hard to avoid eating bread, and this is a lot of the misconceptions. And a lot of what you're hearing comes from the idea of the keto diet, which you cut out your carbs and you cut out the bread as well. So I personally don't think it's bad to eat bread as long as you're eating it in moderation. Bread can definitely, stack up. Dr. Kearney eats 6 toasts per night, which is maybe a little bit more. But two slices of bread a day isn't gonna harm you too much. If you are gonna eat bread, I would say stick with the whole grain bread. So avoid the white bread though.
So right now is that we don't have white bread in our house. This is country harvest, and one piece of bread is 100 calories, and I find that it's processed. It's bread is one of the biggest sources of salt in most of our diets. I think I'd rather have 2 baked potatoes. It's probably equivalent to one slice of bread. I'm fuller after the baked potato than I'm after here. I don't rarely eat 6 potatoes. But I can't. When I have 1 piece of toast, I put a little almond butter or peanut butter on. So I just sneak that in where I have baked potato, I'm good off. And Sharon, sweet potato is even better because it has a little bit of a sweetness to it. I make sure I ate the skin. I eat less of it. And Paul is a great chef too as well, and he made some really good stuff with sweet potatoes in there. They just really add flavor to that. Chad, what's your thoughts about bread?
Okay, just this is the bread that I get, and it's organic sprouted bread. So it's got 20 grains to it. Can you see that there?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, there it is. Sprouted power. Okay.
Sprouted
power. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm familiar with that.
What I want to remind you is that this is all going to be archived, so you can go back and look at this many times. So tell us about your bread there, Chad.
Okay, so yeah, now this is it's got 20 different grains in here. It's all whole grains. So and the other thing is when you're going with different of your grains in that, the more sprouted, the better. It's more nutritious for you. So this one here, I get it at Costco. And also it has, I believe this one has no oil to it. Joanna, I think, in the chat box there, she had mentioned it that go whole wheat, no oil added bread, which is true. Your whole grains, sprouted bread is even better. But likewise, like Paul suggested, even this, like I only have 2 slices a day, and that's generally in the morning.
How many
That,
calories? How many calories is in each slice there?
oh my
So,
God.
so the number one rule for many of us is you have so many calories to eat, then you die. Save them or eat them over time. So what I find is that I would rather, I'd rather you eat very few calories and be all bad food than eat very good food and lots of calories. Because most of us just trying to lose weight is important. So I think, the composition of the diet's important, but as Paul was saying, is your size of your plate is really important and being less hungry. So when I look at I'm just looking at, just happened to, we have Country Harvest, ancient grains here, and it does have about 3 grams of fiber per slice. And I always, when I buy bread, I want to make sure it's at least 4 to 6 grams of fiber, ideally. Um,
Mhm.
and I find that I have to watch out for bread because it tastes good. So it's processed. You want to eat as little as you possibly can. So I think the potato or the sweet potato is a better choice than the bread is. But and oatmeal is another good choice too as well. So Chad mentions that he has oatmeal. We have lots of oatmeal, and what I like to do is put frozen berries, a touch of yogurt, and I put a little bit of a couple chocolate chips in there as my treat there, and that's my dessert many times.
And we can throw in another opinion from Rachel as well. So Rachel thinks a good approach is to not just look at a specific food or a specific macronutrient, but also your eating habits. How much of it are you eating, and goes back to are you eating a generally healthy diet and things in moderation versus eating a lot of perhaps bread or even a lot of potatoes in excess amounts as well.
And Rachel is nice and skinny, nice and fit, and well, she's not quite as fit as the rest of us. She can't do the CN Tower but she has a lot less body to move, and and um, and her number one beverage, I think, is always she has some sort of tea all the time, and these teas that she makes, and so I'm trying to drink more tea, and it's one of the things I'm trying to switch to as well. And one thing that what I'm trying to do is that I have to work on my dental hygiene, and since I'm prone to bad teeth and poor animals. So what I try to do when I finish eating is take the toothbrush out and brush my teeth, and that's one way to help curb my appetite. My daughter's very good. Once she finished brushing her teeth, she doesn't go back to eating. Unfortunately, stops from eating for about a half an hour. So I'm still working on that thing. Any other thoughts or questions? Great points. Thank you. Thank you for doing those.
Wonderful questions. Yeah.
Another question regarding bread, sorry, is that when I've heard that perhaps you shouldn't be eating bread so much is due to the very quick increase in blood sugar level after eating bread, that the carbs in bread cause the blood sugar to really spike. Now, this may or may not be a problem, but it seems that this is mentioned a lot. And along with that are the lectins in bread that can cause upset digestive tracts and so on. So that was a lot of my confusion as well.
First of all, is an entity called glycemic index of food. So basically, bread, and especially white bread, gets absorbed quicker. You're right that that a lot of the breads that we eat get into your bloodstream quicker. It's interesting that potato does have a pretty high glycemic index, but it makes you feel full. So I think for most of us is that we want to try to watch the total calories that we're eating. As Paul was pointing out, for many of us, our basic metabolic rate is 1,200 calories a day. So basically, if I was going to have 7 pieces of bread a day, that's 700 calories. That's all I can eat for the rest of the day, and I'll lose some weight. So what you have to do is to lose weight is you need that calorie deficit. And for me, my basic metabolic rate is that I can eat about 3,500 calories to 4,000 calories a day because I keep myself very active. as you know, I don't sit in the clinic. I move around, and I move around afterwards. What I find one of the challenges with this uh, isolation is I'm not moving as much. I'm not out as much, but I do go for longer bike rides more now on the weekends. And so I think that you have to think about So to me, the biggest priority for many of us who want to lose weight is the bank rule about putting money into your bank account, that getting those 500 extra dollars every day of calorie deficits relative to what you need. And and as Paul pointed out, is that there's not one diet for everyone. Now, Chad has really spent a lot of time on organic food, being a very good vegan, and he really pays attention to the quality of his food. For some of us, it's for 99% of us, it is the quantity of food. Look at Chad; he's nice and skinny, and it doesn't get there by accident; it's by hard work. And so to me is that how do you get yourself to be in that calorie deficit, 500 calories most days to lose that amount a week? That's tough. And so I want to try different ways. And to me, what works today might work differently. I kind of feel right now is that I want to be in the best possible shape I can at this point in time, because we're now living in a new era, and if I do get the virus, I want to be in the best fighting shape possible. And one way to be the best fighting shape possible is I want to be as skinny, as fit as possible. And I keep saying this week after week is that I'm trying very hard to lose those weight now. And for those of us who are still have smoke or no smoker, get them a Nicorette patch for the next 30 days. For the rest of us, getting that 500 calorie deficit every day and improving your fitness is really important. I love these Friday sessions because it brings you closer together, and I really look forward to sharing the time. And I want to thank Paul for hosting these things, and all our speakers, and all you for participating. And let's grow our community. And Chad's been a big part of this. He's done it in so many ways. And what I do from time to time is I call Chad and Paul and John. I'm on my bike ride, and I love just chatting. That's my social connection. So thank you for sharing these times with us. And they're important times, but I'm getting healthier. I'm going to try healthier. Am I going to always do it? Absolutely not. Am I going to get better at it? Absolutely yes. Any thoughts at all from anybody?
I also just wanted to add on to the question about the spiking blood sugar as well. This relates back to the no white diet that I mentioned earlier too. So white foods in general are a little bit known to spike, the blood sugar, which was a concern as well. So, if you stick towards the whole grains and, your brown foods instead, it helps definitely curb some of that too.
This is a processed food. All bread's processed food. None of them are real health foods. You can get healthier choices, but they're not health foods. They're they're not you can do better. This is better. The best beverage is still water, 0 calories.
Chad, do you make your own bread?
No, I don't. I don't like bread that much to be like some people, they love their bread now. But like I said, I'm usually just 2 slices, but it's important I have my toast in the morning. So it's one of those things. And only, once in a blue moon, I feel like, a tomato, cucumber, spinach sandwich. I'm not big on the sandwiches, but I just wanted to show you one more loaf of my bread. This one here's only got 4 grams of carbs in it, okay, per slice, and it's got 15 grams of protein.
How many calories in each piece?
In this one, the other one I showed you was 100 calories per slice, and this one here is per slice for calories. It's 110.
Okay.
So still, and we're high in calories.
So to me, is that the number one priority for me is calorie deficit. So if you go by calories, they're all comparable. But which one will make you feel fuller? and eat less of. And to me is that I find oatmeal a much better choice than bread to eat less calories and feel fuller. Yeah.
So, Chad, are you going to show us your pizza?
Oh yeah.
Let me see if I can pick it up because I make everything. See, this is the other thing with what I'm doing with this series is I actually I make very big portions, and because I've become used to doing this kind of diet, it's like when I'm grabbing my spices, I just know what goes in there. I just throw this and that and everything, and I don't measure anything out. So my challenge to create these recipes, these short videos for everybody to show you how to do things, is I've got to now take and look at what I'm about to do and put it in something that I'm measuring so then I can let everybody know, oh, you're using 2 teaspoons or whatever. Now, and I make big trays of pizzas because, again, I have leftovers and that. Let me go see if I can pick it up. One second.
Thanks. So, Paul, any other comments that you wanted to add today, or any other comments that people?
I had perhaps just wanted to cover SMART goals as well.
Yeah, good.
I guess for me, the best place to combat unhealthy eating is the grocery store. Similar to what Rachel's answer was, and that's because if you can stop yourself from bringing unhealthy food home in the first place, you don't have that around you to grab when you're in a rush for something to eat, right? So my tips and tricks to control cravings in the grocery store, it's going to be easier when you're home. So make a list of what you need and stick to it. Considering the whole COVID situation right now, things are, there's a lot. People are going to the grocery store less. There's lineups, and a lot of things are sold out. So be prepared to get alternates, but make sure you do stick to your list. And if you control yourself in the grocery store, it's going to be a lot easier when you're home. These are some wonderful healthy snack ideas in a pinch. You can just keep these ready, keep them in your fridge. When you're hungry, grab them, and you don't have to think twice. Right? So this is probably very helpful for someone like myself because when I'm bored, I eat. So if I have these ready for me to go, I can stick away from grabbing a little bit of unhealthy food here and then a little bit of chips here, then a little bit of cookies here and all that stuff. And another tip that I had, we're stronger together. So let's do it in groups, right? So find someone. Actually, this relates back to last week. Let's see if any of us remember the number one predictor for length of life is. Anyone want to finish the sentence for me?
Is the number of quality relationships.
Yes, the satisfaction in your relationships and how satisfied you are with the social bonds with those around you. So, striving to be a healthy person or striving to be healthy alongside someone else is a great motivating factor. And that's why we do these Friday sessions as well. It's really nice for us to, communicate with one another and work with one another and striving to be healthier. But, call up a friend or a family member and essentially force them to get healthy with you. And you can keep each other accountable and it'll provide a support system. It's a lot harder to do things alone than when you do them together.
Can I add something, Paul?
Yeah, of course.
This is just an interesting curiosity that has to do with my area of expertise, which was newborn babies. Milk is homogenized when you buy it on the shelf, which means the calories are evenly distributed throughout the milk. And as you drink it, you get the same calories in the last drop that you got in the first drop. When you switch to a mother who breastfeeds, there's something quite striking that's different in the breastfeeding baby. The milk that comes first, in fact, the very first day the mother starts producing milk, it's extraordinarily high in protein. But interestingly, while a baby is feeding at the breast, as the breast is emptied, the quantity of fat that goes way, way up. So you start with a very low fat start, you finish with a very high fat start, and guess what the high fat, when the fat starts getting very concentrated, guess what the baby does?
Stops eating.
Stops eating. So in fact, when food is homogenized, the amount of fat in it doesn't tell you to stop. But if you started drinking or eating something that was skim milk, followed by 1%, followed by 2%, followed by 3%, followed by 18% cream, followed by whipped cream, you'd stop when you got to whipped cream, I promise you. So the fat is actually a signal to stop. And even though the fat that's in there is in the breast milk is designed to grow beautiful brains, the fat that's in there is actually something the body of the newborn baby needs. So it's just an interesting thing to me that homogenizing the milk. When I was young, milk was not homogenized. We got our milk in a bottle and the cream rose to the top. And in order to homogenize it, you had to either shake it up or stir it up because it wasn't homogenized. So homogenizing the milk makes it loses the signal to stop eating. So breastfeeding babies, not only do they get a better quantity and quality of food, but the food that they're getting is designed to grow babies. Babies are, the majority of the baby, 1/3 of the baby's weight is its head. Whereas in cow's milk is designed to grow calves. And by far the biggest amount of a calf is beef, not brain. So in fact, when you drink a lot of cow's milk, the body turns most of that into your body, not into your brain. So it's just an interesting thing.
That's really interesting. Thank you.
And the formulas that are developed are designed to resemble breast milk as close as they can, but they're not quite the same. Anyway, that's all I had.
Thank you.
Very interesting. Chad, do you have your pizza there with you?
No, my partner ended up putting the pizza back in the oven because so it's in the oven right now. But I promise you, actually, then when I promised to do my third video, because I've already started the second video on the breakfast for oatmeal, but on the third video, I'm going to show you step by step how to make this amazing pizza and very healthy, all vegetarian.
I'll tell you what we'll do is that before you cut the pizza, take a picture of it and send it to Paul and myself, and we're going to post that there, along with the SMART goals, right there, Paul?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And back to the SMART goals. So some of us may have heard of SMART goals, some of us might not have. But it's an acronym for ways to set goals that are realistic and actually effective. And it stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Now, I'm gonna show you a series of phrases, and it's very evident to see differences in these phrases. I want to walk more versus I want to walk 10,000 steps per day. Right, so you can see it's a very specific goal that you're setting for yourself. Measurable, I will do however much I need to, just not really putting a number on it, versus I'm going to use a pedometer and actually track the amount of steps that I have, put it on my ankle, do my walk, and then I'm going to log it into a notebook. You're actually taking steps to quantify what you're doing. Attainable, I'm going to, one day I decide I'm going to start walking 10,000 steps tomorrow. It might not be the most realistic for all of us. So, know how much you can do at once and work your way up. And the reason for that is because a lot of us are going to set these huge monumental goals. And when we fail, because 99% of the time we are going to fail when you have these huge goals, we sort of shrivel up and you don't try again. So, take it in baby steps, because a lot of small steps does still lead to a very large goal. Relevant, why do you want to do this? Do you want to walk more because someone told you to do it? Or do you want to walk more and get healthy and lose weight because you know that this is going to help you reduce your risk of heart disease and you want to live a long and healthy life? So do it for yourself. Make goals that are relevant to you. And time bound, I want to lose 10 pounds versus I want to lose 10 pounds by the end of June 2020. So you can see there's major differences when you make your goal a SMART goal, right? So you can take each of these pieces, and when you're setting your goal, whatever it is, whether you want to get more active because we're all stuck inside right now, or you want to lose some weight, or you want to perhaps maintain your weight and not gain weight during this COVID situation, write it down and use the specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound aspects, including that into your goal. And like I said, it's we are all going to fail sometime, and so it is important to never discourage anyone who makes progress, no matter how slow it is. As long as you're able to pick yourself back up and try again. Next time you fail, pick yourself back up again and try again. And a word about habits, it's not going to be overnight. So it is a long-term goal, and we have to think in the long term. So again, try making a lot of baby steps, and that way you can work towards your long-term goal. So some inspirations for meals. If you are looking for, if you're bored at home and you don't know what to cook, technology can be our friend here. So hopefully we're going to learn a little bit more about how to use technology. We are going to have some technology workshops coming up on our YouTube channel too, but you could YouTube some healthy recipes. These are some channels that I found that might be useful, so you can do a quick search for these on YouTube or on Google. You can just if you just type in healthy recipes or type in plant-based recipes, there's a lot of results. You can find a lot of things there. And there are some applications that can help. I'm not going to go over these today for the sake of time, but like I said, we are going to have application workshops coming to our YouTube channel, so you can go there, and we're going to have workshops held by one of our volunteers named Sonia. She's going to show you how to use MyFitnessPal and health trackers, how to access your blood work online, how to use an email, and how to access our website at drcreamy.com. And I believe that's all I have for you today. So success is the ability to move from one failure to another without a loss of enthusiasm. So be sure to keep trying again and again, as many times as you need to reach that goal of yours and to strive to be healthier.
So I'm going to start off and say, here are some of my SMART goals. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to attend all these Friday webinars until Paul and I die. And
you just threw my name in there too. I love this.
And I'm going to try. My other goal is I'm going to try to keep making better connections with all of you. I'm going to look at all the videos that all these young people at McMaster and others have created. I'm going to work with Chad to learn more over forks over knives and figure out how to do those cuts better. And I really enjoy that. I'm going to weigh 165 pounds by July 1st is my biggest goal. I'm going to call Paul. No, I'm going to call everybody up on this every time I snack at nighttime. Is that and one of the things, Barb, what I'm trying to do is try to get rid of bread out of my house as much as I can. I love bread, and for me is one piece of bread leads to 2, 3, maybe 6. And I kind of wish we didn't have bread around the house, but I don't have a great answer for you about that. I'm going to try what's that bread that you get there, Chad? What's it called again? I'm going to actually eat the bread that Chad eats. I'm going to try switching to that a little bit. I'm going to eat a lot.
Sprouted power.
Okay, and I think is that so those are some of the goals I'm going to try to do, and I'm going to try to encourage more of everybody to be part of this community. And it's I do think that we're in for a long ride when it comes to this virus. I do think Trudeau said it well, is once we have a vaccine, that's when we're going to conquer the virus. We're going to have multiple waves of this. I'm not going to sit around and be scared about it, but I'm not going to be silly about it. I'm going to face the world, do the best I can every day. Yes, I'm going to be scared sometimes, but I'm going to basically try to make this place a little bit better. And you made my day by all coming tonight, and I want to thank you for doing that. You are all very special to me. Thank you.
Here we go. Chad Chad was able to fit in a picture of his pizza, so we can finish off with that.
Oh, did you get it?
Yep, I got it. I'm going to try opening it up here.
Did you get it, Dr. Canoe?
I haven't looked at it yet.
Okay.
Um,
So yeah, I ran up and snapped a picture of it in the oven.
Thank you.
Now this was the before shot. You see?
Wow. Yeah.
There you go.
Wow. I wish you could actually. Is there any place you can actually buy pizza like that anywhere, or have it delivered anywhere? I'm serious about that. Because I wish there was a commercial place that had that available.
Well,
What kind
actually,
of crust do you use?
I'm sorry.
that crust is whole wheat crust. But some of the pizza chains, like I believe Pizza and Domino's and that, I don't get pizza from there. But they've come out with the cauliflower crust. Now that's really good for you.
Oh, that looks good.
Isn't that good? So look, there's no cheese on it.
Looks good.
Oh,
you
does that ever look delicious?
Great. And
That pizza looks wonderful. Wow, that looks really good.
Well, I'm going to show you how to make it in the third video. So you got to keep coming back.
Great. Thank you so much, Paul and Chad and Greg. This has been great, and I'm so glad I joined in. Thank you.
And please look at all the other ones that are archived. Please encourage your friends, neighbors, anybody to look at this. More the merrier. And we look forward to our next week's one. There was a beautiful one that just came out a couple days ago, and I'm really looking at a lot of the workshops that some of the students have made, and I'm going to torture them a little bit to make a few little changes here and there. But they've done a fantastic job, and you should. I feel very proud of everybody for being here, and have a successful week. And I hope to see you next week, 1 pound lighter, for most of us.
Okay, thank you. That's my goal.
Thanks so much. Thank you again, Paul.
Thank you everyone for joining in.
And thank everybody.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful week, everybody.